Good morning, everybody. How are you today? I am going to make a video today about making the cat block that I showed you a couple of days ago in the Facebook group. And with that, we're just going to get right down to it. So join me in my sewing room as we try to create something new. I'm going to move you just a little bit so you can see what I'm doing down here. There we go. That looks like a pretty good picture for us. Alright, so what I've done is I have a fat quarter of fabric, and I've already ironed this flat. And what we need in order to make this is a couple of 5.5 inch blocks of background fabric. So I'm going to trim up my fat quarter here on this edge, and then I'm going to go over here and give myself 5.5 inches. Make sure that's all straight. There we go. 5.5 inches. And you see my martelli cutter that I'm using here? I love this thing. It's great if you've got arthritis in your hands. Gives you a nice cut. And if you can see that right there, I'm closing the safety feature on it so that I don't accidentally cut myself or drop it and cut the dog or the cat. They might cry if I did that. And then out of this, we have a folded over piece of fabric here. I need two 5.5 inch blocks and a 2.5 inch block. So the 5.5s are going to be square, 5.5 tall, 5.5 wide. You open your martelli by rubbing it along your mat, and then very carefully you're going to cut your 5.5. It doesn't require as much effort as I'm putting into it, but I like to make sure that it's right. So we've got our two 5.5 inch squares, and then we're going to lay this out, and we're going to get a 2.5 inch square. You can do this a couple of ways so that I don't always cut on a line on my mat. I'm going to use my 2.5 inch wide ruler, line it up along the edge of the fabric over here, open the martelli, do my little cut, there we go. Now, this piece isn't scrap. I also need a 3.5 inch block so that I can make my half square triangles for the kitty ears. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3.5. Line it up, get it straight. And I am not using a directional fabric. There's the only piece that I'm not going to be able to use today. 1, 2, 3.5. I was a bad girl. I didn't close my cutter there a minute ago. Okay, so that's all of the colored pieces that you need. And now I need some background. And I keep my little scraps of background fabric here in this box. You've got to be smarter than the box to open it, though. So you open your box up, and I know that I need the following. I need a 5.5 inch piece, it's hard when you're trying to keep everything in camera range here, sorry. Let's see, do I have anything smaller that might work for that? Nope, looks like that's it. Maybe. We'll try this one. Nope, it's only 5. Not big enough. Alright, we'll use that for our 3 inch piece. So let me get me a 5.5 inch piece out of this. And fold it. I'm cutting slightly bigger than I know I need so that I can bring it down to the size that it should be. I always tend to cut a little bit bigger. Okay, so that can go back in our scrap box. Let's lay this out, get it to 5.5. I don't ever throw scraps away of this until they're down so small that you just can't use them for anything. I'll even sew scrap pieces together to get the size I need. Okay, so there's my 5.5 that I need for over here. And then I need a 3.5 by 3.5. Let me hit that with a little bit of heat real quick. Just so that I know I'm getting a good straight cut. So we're going to go 3.5. Y'all are going to have to yell at me about not closing my cutter like I'm supposed to. I'm going to trim off that little edge over there just so I get a straight. Even though this is going to be a half square triangle, I like to start out with straight even pieces so that we don't end up with problems when we go to square everything up. Alright, and there's my 3.5. And then I need, how big is that? Is that 1.5? Yeah, I can get a 1.5 out of there. And I need a 1.5 inch square for the tail of the cat. Back into my scrap box. Okay, so we're done with our cutter, and I've made sure that the blade's closed so I don't end up cutting myself. And here is our fabric. We're going to have this. This is our kitty tail. This goes here. And then we have our 2 3.5 inch squares. Now, you can do this part a couple of different ways. You can draw a diagonal line across the back. And you can use anything, a pen, a pencil, a fabric marker, a Sharpie. You're going to cut this one in half when we're all said and done. So it's not going to make a difference what you mark it with. I'm using a friction pen just because that's what I have handy to me today. And then let's bring you just a little bit over this way so you can see what I'm doing. I also have tape along mine so you could sew there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up the 1/4 inch edge of my presser foot along that line. And I probably need to bring this down to about a 2, maybe a 2.5. And we're just going to sew down each side. I'm using a Juki 2010 TLQ. And that is a machine that'll do a straight stitch. It free motions. I love it for piecing. It's the same machine that Sew Becca uses on her channel, Bubba, that she is auditioning from. So yeah. And then right here, I'm just going to cut along that line. You could use a rotary cutter to do this part as well. I'm just doing it with my scissors because that's what I have close. And then there's one more step we need to take for this. I want to make sure that I get 2 2.5 inch half square triangles. And I have this ruler here from Quilting a Day. Try to make it so you can read it. See if it's a little better. I'll put it on top of that. And this is a half square triangle square up ruler. It'll go all the way up to 6.5 inches. I only need mine to go to 2.5. So what you're going to do is there's a 2.5 inch mark right here. And I'm going to line that 2.5 inch mark right up on the seam line, and then I'm going to cut this and I do it probably backwards from how you've seen anybody else do it. It's easier for me because I have arthritis in my hands to cut this way, and it also gives me a really good viewpoint so that I can make sure I'm getting everything right where I want it. Let's see. Make sure I've got my hands out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. Didn't cut quite off to that edge, but I'm just going to use my scissors to snip that. And then get rid of our trash. Move the ruler out of the way. I always open half square triangles to the dark side unless a pattern calls for me to do something different. And I'm not really wrenching on that seam. I'm just kind of folding it back and then running my finger along it so that I get it to lay down. I'm going to hit this with a little dab of heat. That part's done. Take my little doggy ears off. Don't say that too loud. My dog will be thinking I'm going to cut her ears off. Alright, so now that we've got our half square triangles made and everything laid out, or we're going to lay everything out, this is how this goes. That goes over there. This goes here. I always want to turn these the wrong way. Give me a second. Y'all can laugh at me. Yeah. Here's my kitty ears. I'm awake. I promise. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to sew these two half square triangles together here in the middle. Make sure you can still see over there where I'm sewing at. 1/4 inch seam. On my machine, the edge of my foot is my 1/4 inch seam. Line that up a little better. We're going to finger press that open. I'm going to make sure again that it looks like kitty cat ears, since that's what I want. I'm going to trim down the whole block when I'm done. Bring that open. See, I've got extra fabric over here. And then I'm going to sew right here so that this edge meets. I'm going to trim this now. Straight along that edge. Don't throw that away. That's a usable scrap. Alright. Then I'm going to snowball this corner. All I'm going to do is I'm going to lay my little 1.5 inch square here. And I'm going to sew from corner to corner. And I have the tape on my machine, so I can do that. Excuse me. I'm going to cut that little, that's too small of a half square triangle for me to save for anything, so I'm not going to do that. Open that up. Finger press it again. Here's your background piece. We're going to bring that in. Going to match my corners up. Do a 1/4 inch seam. This one's a straight seam, so it's not as big a deal if you press down pretty hard on it. And we're going to show you the magic in just a second. Going to match up these two seams so they nest. And then bring it over here. Excuse me. 1/4 inch seam again. I know, I got a little extra up there. Notice I'm laying all my seams the direction that I want them to go. You also notice that my Juki likes to run. Okay. Gonna square up this top piece right here. And then, let's see if we've got a kitty cat. Let me give it a little bit of heat. Aww. What do you think of my kitty cat? I think it's pretty. And I'm not following anybody's pattern. I just kind of made it up for myself as I went along. And what I liked about it is that this side's just a little bit wider than this side. So you've got a nice fluffy fat kitty cat. If you want to make it, go right ahead. When I make them, I'm going to put so that the little tails match up. So I have a cat going this way and a cat going this way. You guys have a great day. Thank you for checking out my blog, and I will see you soon on a live. Bye for now from Melissa.